We won't celebrate Invasion Day!
The following podcast is rated G for gammon. Please be aware it may contain some coarse language and is not suitable for children or gammon audiences.
Central Board. Central Board. Central Board.
Us. Guess who's back? 2025, let's hoge. What's going on? Nagas, welcome. The new co-host. What's going on, brother?
Thank you. Not much. Just chilling out in my garage like it's a normal Tuesday evening.
For those that don't know, Aaron Nagas is the new co-host of Them Yarns. Now, backstory, Alicia, who our loyal listeners would be like, where is she? Have they had a fight? What's happened? You know how black people go? They'll be Dorrising straight away. So first of all, all of you mob that are Dorrising, no, she was just traveling and she also moved out and I wanted to do the podcast and I'm not patient enough.
Yeah. That's not normal for you to be impatient.
That doesn't sound like me at all.
No.
Yeah, so now, you're on, Bruss. Also because you're the winner of the Doogie debate. So who else would
I feel like it's a good reward, right?
I know.
I won a few in a row. Just throw the brother in there, throw him in the deep end, see if he can get cancelled.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So you're going to be joining me for however long. Let's see until we get cancelled probably. Yeah.
Maybe 1 episode, 2 episodes.
A couple of half an episode. We'll see. But it should be deadly. I thought I'd get you on here because we've known each other for, gosh, have you counted? Did you actually think about it?
I think it's 20 years or 19 years this year.
Are you serious?
Bruh. Yeah.
I had darker hair back then. You had hair.
I had hair. Look, I still got hair. It's just all at the back.
Stop it. For the listeners that want to know, okay, first of all, let's see if you remember meeting me and I'll see if I remember meeting you. What's your first memory of me?
I thought it was now Quilp, but back then YILF.
Yeah. Young Indigenous Leaders Forum, it was called.
That's right.
Was a thing here in Queensland. And, we did that. Gosh, I think I was what year was that, brother? I don't even know. That's where we met. And we were both two young little emerging leaders. Is that what they called us back then?
Right. That's what we were, emerging leaders.
Before people called you emerging leaders. So that's where we met. So we've known each other for 20 years. Man, we've seen each other through some ups and downs. I've seen you get married, have kids. You've seen me through many probably dumb breakups. You've seen me when I was charged up. I'm now sober.
Yeah, when you're allowed to drink out of straws from a jug.
How dare you?
That's my second memory of Carly.
No regrets.
If you don't know, but she's a non-drinker now, so we'll forget about that. But it'll still be my favorite memory. Her having a jug in each hand and a straw in each jug and drinking out of both.
Can say it was probably Tequila Sunrise or something. It was something ridiculous. Yeah. Midori Illusions back in the day. You
can't do that these days. That's against liquor licensing laws.
It is against liquor. And you know what? Those jugs back then were $10. They were $10 a jug. And I remember the bartender would go, "Oh, how many glasses do you want?" "No, just the straw." No
straw. No glass, please. Just the straw.
2 jugs.
How many straws? Just one. No, I'm not sharing this.
I'm just moving the straw from jug to jug. Oh, yeah. Ridiculous. So, yeah, we've seen each other through some hectic times.
Yes.
But in saying that, we've always kind of been passionate about issues together. We've always kind of backed each other on a lot of things. We also can disagree about things as well, which is good.
Yeah, definitely.
So for anyone that doesn't know though, who's your mob, where you come from, that caper. Let's chuck it out there.
So Bailey, South Sea, my mob's the Gladstone area up in central Queensland, and the Nagas name comes from Tanner Island. So my great grandfather was blackbirded many years ago with the sugar slaves. Brought over here as a young teenager, and he said, "What's your name?" He said, "Knuckle," and I said, "Oh, Nagas." And so every Nagas you meet in Australia, regardless of their colour, is related to me by marriage or blood, because we all come from one fella, and he loved having kids, and his ancestors loved having kids, and we're everywhere now. You can't get rid of us.
Oh, shout out Tanner Island. Come on now. So, that's Aaron Nagas. Can I just call you Nagas? What am I calling you on this show? What do you want?
Let's do that. Let's go Nagas.
Yeah. Oh, look, you've been called a lot worse. So we'll.
Yeah, that's the nice one. That's the nice one that starts with N that people usually come around this time of year.
Stop it. Speaking of this time of the year, I thought let's kick it off for 2025. It's January, and there's something in the air, right? It's
definitely.
It's the smell of racism. Although
xenophobia.
It is xenophobia. It's also the smell of resistance.
Definitely.
Survival. So January 26th, Survival Day, Invasion Day, Australia Day. That's what's coming up. Brother, tell me your thoughts.
So for me, I've always been a passionate advocate for changing the date. I'm not at abolish the date yet. I know
you're not at it. You're not
I'm
there
not
yet.
at abolish the date yet. I'm still okay with some form of national patriotism, but just not on that date, and see where we go from there. So we march every year, me and the family, and go along and have a good time and have a march and chant out loud, and then we have a chat to the kids about what that means for them, and they are on board. So they're bringing their friends along to the march this year.
That's cute.
Some of the high school kids are like, "Oh yeah, we'll march with you." I'm like, "Hey, look out, that's deadly." So I think one friend came last year, and they had a great time, and now the group of them are coming. So we're recruiting slowly but surely here in Gubby Gubby country.
That's cute. And you usually run like some of those things up there, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm one of the people on the sort of organising committee. Brother Steve is the lad who he organises it, and then Big Face usually goes to the front of the march and yells the loudest and leads everybody through it. So
Big Face being yourself, yeah.
Big Face is me. No, sorry, Brother Steve, not the big face. I mean, he's got a big face too.
I had to clarify that.
Yeah, I'm Big Face.
Oh, you crack me up. It's look, I think this January 26th, right? Everyone has spoken about it. Everyone speaks about it every year. I guess it means something different to every black fella, and we can't speak for every black fella. I'm just,
that's right.
Myself and Bummer, and yourself got your own views. So I don't know. I think it's this time of the year, right? Is usually it's heavy. Yeah, everyone on social media, it's like, don't read the comments, don't do this, don't.
They're not. Yeah, don't go to the comment section. Do yourself a favor.
Don't do it because. Like we were talking about it the other week, like why this year feels a little bit heavier. Like last year was heavy because it was post-referendum, right? And everyone was trying to, either you were like turning out to make even more of a statement, or people were feeling sad. Whatever that was last year, that was a different one. This year feels like the world is just extra heavy. Right now, Australia is extra heavy. Like the context being, we've got an opposition leader at the moment who doesn't want to stand next to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags. We've got every other person. It feels like hating on blackfellas like extra. You know what I mean? Like the past 15 years has been kind of like we're making stride, and like I feel now like we're not. Would you agree? Would you disagree?
No, definitely. I think. Blackfellas are back to being a race card that politicians can play. So they've seen some votes in that now, and even if they don't see votes in it, it's a really great distraction to stir up racism against us, because then it starts a bit of a pile-on in the media, and we can act as a distraction for whatever's actually going on. So, I love reading politics. I've been a large Twitterer for a long, long time. And it's really interesting to see, you know, when things fail for the Liberal Party, how often they just go back to the black card, you know.
Yeah.
So they like to use us as they can abuse us. And
yeah. The marches every year seem to be getting bigger and bigger. Like I know when I first moved to Brisbane, I was working for NITV then as like a, what do they call it, in-field reporter. So they would, you know, flash around the country, see where was what. And there was, I reckon, a couple of hundred people at that rally.
True.
And I thought, you know, because I come from a small little country town where it's very racist. Like Pauline Hanson is the seat. Bob Catter is the seat in my hometown.
Yep.
Like, this is the place I come from. Clive Palmer was the seat for a long time. You know what I mean? So I come from a very conservative town, very racist town. And I can say that because I grew up there and experienced that. But, you know, coming from a small place where mob, you know, we didn't protest like that where I was growing up. We just didn't. There was just this... There's just not enough black fellas that did it. It just wasn't something we did growing up. We did our resistance. We did our fighting in other ways through, you know, other things like World Tropics, land conservation, you know, our own kinds of things. But coming to Brisbane and seeing that as like one of my first years, I just remember just thinking, oh, this is like massive, like this is deadly. And then like you flash forward, like the past 15 years is like thousands and thousands.
Wild. I've been to a few Brizzy ones on my engine, and like you're talking like that whole bridge.
The whole bridge.
It's deadly.
It's massive. And I feel like every year it gets bigger and bigger, and we're kind of like on the climax of like something's got to give, right? Like something has to change. But what is it? Like when is going to be the breaking point? And every time I feel like we're getting closer, something happens to just kind of ruin that momentum.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like how history goes, because people don't really like change. So like, you know, remember like the apology 2007 apology. That was like a big moment for blackfellas and for a lot of blackfellas, and we're going. But then non-Indigenous people were like, wait a minute, we're giving blackfellas too much. And then so we had Tony Abbott. You know what I mean? So it's just like that forward marching kids was always happening. We're always becoming more like woke, so to speak. The world just rejects it for a little while, and then just becomes business as normal. So I think that's where we are right now. Like we've had like a really big push, you know, same-sex marriage, black fellas getting a lot more power, et cetera. And then so this is the pushback, like, wait a minute, like we can't give them too much.
We can't give them too much.
We're always moving forward, right? Like, yeah.
I would hope we're always moving forward. It's still like each year you see the numbers and you're like, oh, we're moving forward. Like compared to when we were kids, you know, now we're so much, our culture's so much more visible, probably sometimes too visible when it comes to like, I feel like white fellas like walking down the Brisbane Mall have more black shirts than I do. Good ways. You know
love it.
what I'm saying? Like, and then you're
I mean, if you've got a black business and you sell it, you know, you just get it out there. You got to make money.
Come on, I say this because back in the day, you couldn't find a black shirt. Hey, brah, back me up here.
No, seriously, it was. I had like one.
You couldn't find black shirt. You couldn't find a mug. Maybe the closest thing we had back then was those tea towels that people would get from Alice Springs.
Yep.
Do you remember?
Exactly right. And that shirt you're wearing, I remember buying a shirt like that from like the Sydney markets. Like I don't remember what it was, and it's the only like Aboriginal paraphernalia shirt I had for years because nobody was selling it. Like you couldn't find. Oh, I'm from CQ. You're from NQ. Like there was nothing up there.
You couldn't buy.
And now, like I don't think a day goes by where I don't have some sort of black fella stuff on.
Yes.
I mean, I live on the sunny coast, so it's white as, and I'm a black bald fella, so I accentuate that even more by wearing like the flag or some other.
And then even then back in the day, I don't know about you, but like even just as someone who's light skinned, right? I'm light skinned, Murray. Even as someone who's light skinned, if you put that shirt on, there's a danger you're going to be stared at. There's a danger that you're going to not be picked up by a cab like the time I wasn't in a million times in Redfern. Thanks so much, cab drivers. Do you know what I mean? Like even as a light skin, Murray, dark skin, whoever, you chucked that shirt on back in the day and it was a statement, and it's still a statement.
It was a real big political statement back then. Like it's still a statement now.
Yeah.
But now I feel like a lot of allies are like, well, you can't tell who's who anymore. Like, we're just going to keep wearing the stuff, and then so you can't be racist to all of us. Is
You can't be
basically what
racist to
the
all of
mood
us.
I'm getting.
Yeah,
You
I
can
feel
try,
that.
but the more people that wear it, so
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I really find that here, like especially like the light skinned Murray stuff. I'm walking around and I see people wearing it. I'm like, oh, I'll just wave like they're a black fella. And like, I don't know if they
I
are or
don't know if
not, so I'm
they're
just
not.
gonna wave.
Exactly.
And so some of them get when they get real happy. That's when I know they're not. That's when I know they're not Murray, because they're like, oh, that black fella just said hello
waved
to
at
me.
me,
And I was
oh
like,
my
no, that's
God.
deadly. I'm like, I'm glad you're
I'm
wearing the
in.
shirt.
But I feel like when you chuck that shirt on, right, especially on Australia Day, right? And I do that
Definitely.
with the two little Australia Day,
Yep.
Invasion Day, Survival Day, whatever you call it. When you're particularly chucking on that shirt and you're making a statement and you go to say something like a cafe in the morning to just grab a coffee before you go to the march. I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but the
Always.
stares you get, right?
Always.
The
Yeah. I mean, I get
uncomfortableness.
some
I
weird
love
stares
it.
anyway because I'm not wearing shoes, and I dress like a.
Just because you're on the sunny coast.
Come on the sunny coast. Nobody wears shoes up here, but
Get this
I
jigaboo
always
out of
get
here.
that. Yeah, so like we all walk in, and so it's like 5, sometimes mum's there, 6 of us all dressed up like flags, whatever
Yeah.
that it looks like, and they don't know what to do, and especially like my wife's like blonde hair, blue eyed, and they're like, oh, is she with them
This is so
by
this
choice?
family
Are
is
they holding her
confusing.
hostage, or like what's going on here? So
How
yeah,
classic.
it's cool though. I like going out for hot chocolates on purpose and that on that morning, just
Right. I like
get
doing
in people's faces.
the breakfast in the morning before because, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to say something and I know I'm probably going to get cancelled for it by mob and community, but you know what? I've already been cancelled, so it's fine. Line me up again. Sometimes the speeches go too long in the
Too long.
mornings. Okay, thank you. Not just me. Everyone knows. And Brisbane mob, I love you. You know I love you, but them
They
yarns,
talk.
them speeches,
They're
bruh.
the engine mob. Like you got to start putting a time limit. So I'm up here on Gubby Gubby country. We've got a time limit.
Do you have
like
a time limit? What do you have, a bell or something?
We
What do you?
have to. Literally, I just stand next to them, just tap them. Like, come on, brother.
Wow, you're the tapper.
I'm the tapper.
What if it's an
Or,
elder?
like,
Are you
do the
tapping
eyes.
elders? Are you?
One elder got away with it.
Wow,
I was like, I can't tap her. Like,
she's gonna tap you. That's what's gonna
Auntie,
happen in the head.
It's her country. I'm not going to tell her not to talk at her country.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
there's generally a
You
when we
tap.
give the mic over, like let's respect the crowd. It's 700 degrees.
Right? That's the other
Yeah,
thing.
like be passionate, but the passion doesn't have to go for 17 minutes. Like say
Look.
what you need to say, make some good points, and then get out of there.
Light skin matters as well. You know what I mean? And
Bruh.
no, terrible. But sometimes I go while the speeches are on because look, before you cancel me, I've done my marches. Okay, I've done I've put in years.
You know the Johnny come lately.
thank
You've
you.
done black radio. You've done the work. It's
I've
fine.
done the work. I think I'm entitled to go and get some breakfast sometimes on the last few speeches, and then I'm there. And don't make it like yous are listening and going, that's disrespectful, because I know all yous do it as well. Try act.
Really is, and you see them pull like new people. If they don't have enough
Yes.
melanin, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be so lovely." And the first few speeches, like, yeah, and they're like,
Rookies.
"It's really hot," and I did not standing in the shade, and I am not dark enough to be able to handle this heat. And they're like, they don't want to move because they're like,
Oh no.
well, I came here to support them, so I've got to stand here in the sun and suffer. I'm like, I'm surprised more people don't have.
Maybe that needs to be like if you've just started claiming that you're a black fella, right? If you've just found out, maybe that's your baptism of fire. Maybe to become like a part of us, you've got to do those. You've got to stand in that sun like we've all done, and listen to the speeches.
I agree.
And some of us who have been there, done that, can go and get our coffee, and we'll meet you at the march. You know what I mean? Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, there should be an elders tent, and then there should be you've done this for 5 years tent, and there should be like you've done this for 10 years, and then if you're a rookie, get out there in the sun.
Thing is, right, like we can laugh about it. We can laugh about these silly little nuances that we all do at Invasion Day because it's such a like emotional day for people. You're either like, there's nothing like standing in a march, walking along in the march, or like last year I went and I was up on the the tunnel, or what's that thing, like the walkway that's over the bus station. I waited there last year because I'd never done that bit of it. I've always been in the march, but so I was like, oh, this year I'm going to go up and like I want to see the all the crowd come over. There's nothing like being in a march on Invasion Day when you just have everyone
powerful.
around you, right? Like the power
Like,
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful. And I'll add to that. So on Gubby Gubby, Kabi Gubby Country, we've only been doing it for 3 years or so. First year, 3 to 400. Last year, we were up there around 600. And it just keeps getting bigger. And it wasn't on purpose that I ended up at the front, but I was like, all right, I'm just going to take the banner. So I painted a banner. The Gambler's artist painting the banner. But anyway, I painted the banner. Everybody puts their handprints on it, like it's a bit of a solidarity thing, like everybody can put your handprint or sign it or something. And then we just started marching. And like, I just remember turning around and like 400 people like yelling, cheering, going off their head. And then like the next year, like mob were there early. They're just getting around, and we were like, everybody say hello, like everybody say hello to each other, like try and make some friends. Some people might be nervous, so make a friendly atmosphere. And they were even louder and there were even more of us. And the police were like, all right, we're going to escort you this year. Because they didn't escort us the first year. We stopped the road. Like we're in one of the busiest streets in Maroochydore. Yeah. And we stopped it. And they're like, oh,
we may need to escort.
Yeah, we may need to assist these mobs. So
this is
this
the
year
thing.
I think we'll get bigger.
This is the thing about the speeches. It's not because it's like literally there's people stopping streets. Like it is, especially in the city, like the chaos it can cause. And you're just waiting for that march. And because it gets bigger and bigger every year, you got to stop and wait. And then especially in Meanjinia and Brisbane, everyone stops and dances as well, which is deadly.
That's the best thing. That's the best thing, right? Like, I think whoever started that, like whoever just like, there's always that one black fellow that just wants to just show off, and they just started it thinking they were going to have the stage to themselves. The next minute, like every like whoop,
everyone's in here now.
Every style, you got the Island mob doing theirs, and there's mob doing shake leg.
Yeah,
you
it's so good.
Other people that no rhythm trying to dance, but like it's all love, It's get out there and do it.
It's like it's a safe space for mob, right? When we're all together. I think that the one of the hardest Australia Days that I saw when I first moved down here, back then it was, this is 2014, so we're not talking that long ago, but in comparison to it now, it feels like it was forever ago. But back then there was literally people in the street with their capes, with their Aussie flag capes in groups, and they were like, police had to stand in between. There were threats, there were like just disgusting, trying to come in and trying to like break it up. I think like that's the thing we got to remember with Australia Day. It's so emotive because you have Australians that feel entitled to this day that's literally not even, it's like 30 years old, right? It's not been celebrated forever. And then you have us who that day is such a day of sorrow. It's a day of mourning, but it's also a day of resistance. And when we're all together, that emotion is high because we're not just protesting, just this day, we hate this day. That day, what it symbolizes for our people, the oppression, the incarceration, the racism, like everything that's happened since that day and what is still happening. It's emotive, and it's our one day where we can express ourselves all together and it just pours out, right? And I think to the public, it's like, they just hate Australia. It's not just, we just don't just hate Australia. We hate how we're being treated. Like
we hate that we have to march.
We hate that we have to every year.
We have to march. Like, why do I have to take my kids to tell you that it's not equal? Like, why is that fair to me that it's so bad that I've got to take my kids and be like, we got to show the community that this is not okay. And the thing that, to add to your point, it's up here when we march through celebrations. Like, you might be walking through the city down there. Like, we're walking along the beach and there's Australian flags. We're going past them parties. We're going past them drunk people. Some of them are cool. Some are like, yeah, brother, this is cool. I mean, I guess you're going to say that to a big black bald fella. But like, there's people there that are drunk and they're ready to go. And so we've got to be wary of that. Like, we got to tell mob, like, don't react. Like, they want to fight. They're drunk. We're not here to fight. We're just here to say, we're black and we're proud, and we're going to tell you what we think.
We're still here, right? Regardless of the genocide, regardless of the massacres and everything else, we're still here. In 2000, I think it was 2014 or 2015. I'm pretty sure it was 2014. that same year when you're talking about, Australia flags and groups of people, it was all down at South Bank. They literally would have an Australia Day celebration down at South Bank, and they locked all of us blackfellas, literally locked the gates. They locked all these white people in. South Bank in Brisbane, and one of the major parts of Brisbane, and all the blackfellas were standing on the other side of the gate. They just locked us out. Just like,
I remember.
Nope. And there were Australians, white Australians on the other side of that fence. Coppers, so many coppers. You couldn't count them. More mob, you know what I mean, on the other side of them. And it was just so volatile. I think that the Constitution got burnt. I believe a flag got burnt that day.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was big news. That was international news, that one.
That was international news. This day is it's pretty full on for us. I don't think that I would love to be optimistic and say I think it'll change one day, or I think it'll be abolished, or I think something will change. I don't know. I'm so unsure now. I don't know if that'll happen in my lifetime anyway.
Yeah, I think the benefit of having kids is you see how different the next generation is. They're super respectful. They use pronouns. They respect diversity and inclusion because they've grown up in a world where it's encouraged. And so the next generation, and it would have been the same for our parents. My mums and uncles and aunties, they got some horrible stories about how mob used to treat them or how white people used to treat them back in the day. And then it's even worse than for that next generation, for my grandparents' generation. So I think the benefit is being able to see just how much easier it is. They're like, oh yeah, I bought you these Aboriginal earrings for your birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's super cute. I never would have thought, if I was a kid, there's no way any of my mates are like, here, Nagas, here's an Aboriginal or whatever. It just wasn't a thing. And some people are like, yeah, that's because we didn't see color. No, that's because you tried to erase color. You're just trying to make everybody white. And so I think that's the benefit for me is the next generation is so much smarter, so much more in tune with their feelings. They call out all this other stuff. So I think as angry as these middle-aged men that are my age are on Facebook about all these things they don't know about, the next generations, they're going to take us forward. So it might not be in our lifetime, but it'll happen.
I think, however we celebrate it, however we spend the day, whether it's a celebration for you, because some people like to say they of survival, they celebrate survival. I hear a lot of people do that. I hear a lot of people say that it's a day of mourning. It's not a celebration for them. So however you commemorate the day, I hope it's a safe one. And I do want to though tell you about an episode of an ABC show that I watched the other night. It's got a couple of people in it. So it's got Guyala Bales. I always got to say Guyala because Guyala for North Queensland, Guyala Bales, Lala Bales. So sis, if you're listening, I've just got her on it. It had Andy Saunders, the comedian, our brother Andy Saunders. He's so funny. Love Andy Saunders. And it had a few other mob on there. And the topic was Australia Day. So it's a segment or an episode called Hear Me Out. So it's on ABC. You can go back and watch it. But I thought I'd play you just a little bit. And then it's basically all mob sitting at the table. I think there was about 6 or 7 mob maybe sitting at one table, all have different opinions from abolish the date to celebrate the date to this and that, and then what their thoughts were. So I'm just going to play a little bit of a clip here and then we'll have a chat about it.
And I genuinely believe that abolishing the date is what's necessary, because I don't even think that this country understands what it is, as a whole, what it is that it's celebrating.
I just feel for them, in communities that really struggle, and here we are, debating a day it's gone within a blink, and then them kids are still starving the next day. Them marches, if we put half our energy that we do in our marches into actually fixing our own community, we'd be all right.
For those who are investing a lot of energy and time into raising awareness, educating, trying to change the date, that's fine, do that, but also invest the same amount of energy in fixing those problems that are happening today for many of the Indigenous Australians.
It's not getting to the primary issue. I think it's a Band-Aid solution for something that needs surgery. I think we need to go deeper. We have to look within ourselves and what we can do better as a people. All come to the table, regardless of your ethnic background, and have that conversation and go, okay, well, where do we want our country to go?
Sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned before that there's the Band-Aid approach. I would view keeping and changing the date both as Band-Aid solutions, as opposed to completely starting anew.
I fully understand, but we have to move in a sustainable way, and we can't keep driving forward and looking in the revision mirror. We need to be worrying about these numbers and closing the gap targets and things that actually matter. We need the impact on the ground. We don't need to be worrying about these days because that don't define us.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
What?
Okay, so before we get into it, that's the three people that you heard there was a brother boy called BB Oliver, then there was Tyson Lindsay, and Anthony Dillon. So three separate opinions on Australia Day, and so two of those blackfellas were saying they celebrate it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a day. We're focusing on it too much. And then you've got another brother there who obviously was saying we need to scrap it. We need to abolish it. So you were saying at the start of this episode that you're not quite at the abolish the date. So you're kind of sitting in the middle, and there was a sister girl in there that was kind of like the same as well, of like, oh, we should just change the date and see, because there's other things. So what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
Firstly, it's such a gammon little straw man argument to say you can't think about changing the date and want to help blackfellas too. Like, the people who are marching are the majority of them are the ones doing the work on the ground. Like, I don't think I remember seeing any blackfella at any march I've been to who I know who isn't doing or has done frontline work. So these fruits of the island that come on here and say, like, why are we talking about a date? If it's just a date, then what's the problem? And when I say on the fence, I'll say that I want an Australian republic, right? So I don't want to be a part of the monarchy anymore. So when I say change the date, I want to change the whole system. Like, I don't want to abolish the day, because the day that I celebrate Australia Day will be the day that we don't have a British person as the head of Australia anymore. And the blackfella will have the opportunity to be one of those mob that get to be the head of Australia, whatever that looks like, whatever that position is. So that's why I say I'm not about abolishing the date, because I believe that to actually move forward, and we're talking about, even though Sister Girl said reconciliation is dead, like, for that to move forward.
Shout out to Lane Crombie.
Shout out to Lane Crombie again. Can't get an episode without it, but that's where I am. So when I say I'm not at that date yet, like, because I want the whole revamp. And so the new date is going to be the date we're no longer under the British.
I also think that the rhetoric there around, we need to change, we need to just be worrying about the things on the ground, we need to be doing this, we need to fix our problems. The onus, like that, we have to fix the issues that colonialism has done, and that has stemmed from January 26th. That to me was like, and we're not behind the scenes at ABC cutting and editing, so we don't know what else was said there. So I'll give the brothers a benefit of the doubt there.
You can.
The onus is not on us, okay?
Definitely
the onus is not on us. And this whole thing of like, well, we shouldn't be worrying about a date. Just because you don't have emotion about it doesn't mean that the rest of us can't or shouldn't. So I think while that date still exists, you're still going to see blackfellas turn out. You're still going to see resistance. You're still going to see anger. You're going to see sadness. You're going to see all those things. And Australia, if you don't like it, you need to step up to the plate and you need to help change it. And you know what? It's not too late to change your mind. Now, there's a lot of allies that I know have grown up, right? A lot of white fellas that have grown up being taught lies, being taught all sorts of like information about the settlement of this country. It is not too late to change your mind and go, you know what? Like, I know too much now, and I can't unsee and I can't unknow what I know. I think I'm not going to celebrate Australia Day anymore. And I might just go to a march. I think that's a bit more truthful, because you're just celebrating a lie. Yeah. Don't do that.
I got a bunch of mates who are like that, who probably, when I first met them, would not have thought they would be okay with changing the date. So they might still have beers and stuff on the day, but they're not like, this is our day. And they're like, well, change it.
Yeah.
And then I'll drink beers on that day. Like, they don't care what day they're going to drink beer. They know that the significance of them is the date itself is not what they're celebrating.
No.
And so when I say, let's change it, like, yeah, don't give it. Like, when do you want to do it?
I think there's a small minority now of Australians that are just like doubling down on, no, I need to keep it. We're celebrating Australia. But the majority, I would dare say, this is just my personal view, the majority are just like, I don't care. I just want a public holiday. Like, that's
if you
where
made it
it's
a long
at,
weekend,
right?
they'd be like, we get a long weekend.
Oh,
Cool.
man.
They wouldn't be marching. Let's reverse it. If we change the date, how many white fellas you reckon would march? 7.
Exactly right.
Seven of them, and they'd all be wearing masks because they'd be KKK hood members, and they'd be too scared to show their face. Like, that's what you say. Anything you like about black fellas, we don't need to wear masks. Like, we're walking up there. Look
That's
at
right.
me. This is who I am.
And you know what? It's a statement for a reason. It's not just us making noise. It's our elders. It's our kids. It's everything that we carry out into generational trauma. It is all for that day, and it comes out in passion. It comes out in anger. It comes out in happiness of being together, right? So, yeah, I'm hoping one day we will see a shift, whatever that might be, in terms of like this day. I'm so over speaking about it. Like, I'm so done every single year, right? Like you said, we shouldn't have to march, but we're here. But look, I want to talk about for next episode, now that you're on, I wanted to keep it January 26th. It's a special day. So I wanted to keep it as
Special edition.
That's right. That is right. But we are going to come back with the, it's not going to be so serious all the time. It's a serious topic. So, I thought we'd chuck that in there today. But future episodes of Them Yarns we're gonna have some new segments. Now, I feel like, I've had to retire the Scrape Dad and Hate because you're married. I'm respecting.
I'm married.
I'm respecting your wife. And your marriage life. So I thought, what can we do instead? So I'm thinking you came up with a good one, and it's called Culture Killers. Now, before anyone comes for
Culture
us.
Killers. We're not trying to kill our culture. That's not what it's about.
That's not what we're talking about. You explain the segment.
So I wanted to have a bit of a regular yarn where we just get to talk about what's actually happening and what's going on. So when we're saying culture killer, it could be something that's a deadly thing for culture, but it also could be something that we have a really an opinion on, basically. And it's
that's
going to be
pop
happening.
culture
It's
as well.
a current thing. It's pop culture. It could be, So when we're saying culture killer, we just like using the word killer.
That's all it is. And we got another segment that we're still mucking around with at the moment. If you've got a better name for us, let us know on the Instagram.
Please.
Them Yarns, the podcast on Insta, or we do have TikTok, but I don't even know if that still exists, let's be honest. And we also have Facebook. So just drop me a message and let us know what you think. So we're thinking either like a Doris a minute. Did we come up with that? It was like, let me Dory for a minute. Doris, we can explain. It's like a big sticky beak if you've never heard that before. Otherwise, I also had a segment on my own Instagram that it's so dumb, right? I've got like 400.
Yeah, that's
the tea
right.
time. Remember the tea time yarns?
Tea time. Make that tea. Start
I'd make
talking.
the tea and I'd tell a little yarn about a little bit of tea every week.
That.
Yeah, and everyone would actually put in what's the tea this week. I would say, what do you want me to talk about? It could be anything. It could be like my worst date. It could be like whatever. And people really love tea time, and they actually miss the goddamn tea time. So I thought maybe this is the spot. We bring it back.
Tea time needs to come back.
Tea time.
It's a bit hot for tea, but maybe drink cold tea
in Queensland. We can drink cold tea. We can do whatever tea. Tea being goss. All right.
Goss.
Think about
so
it.
Basically, just the two aunties. Well, I'm an uncle, but uncle and honey, they're just. Did you see here?
Yes. We're going to spill the tea. We're going to spill tea. We're going to talk about something. We're going to spill the tea. So that's going to be fun. We're going to have, some laughs. We're going to talk about serious stuff. We're going to talk about crack stuff. That's what Them Yarns is about. So
exactly. Who knows where this is going to go?
Who absolutely knows? Who knows? But that's the ep for tonight. Thanks, Aaron Nagas. We'll catch you.
Thank you, sister.
Next week.
Yo.
Central Board.